Spontaneity is not something that can just be dreamed up on the spur of the moment. When a major news story breaks, it's no good trying to be witty about it there and then. Topical jokes have to be prepared months in advance. That's why every episode of Have I Got News for You is painstakingly directed and rehearsed almost a year before transmission.
Morning.
Dynamic young director Toby Harmer is the man without whom the 3 stars of the show would be as much use as 3 inanimate blocks of wood. As entertaining as tailor's dummies. Stumbling, inadequate half-wits who, quite frankly, would not be... Oh, I'm sorry.
Right then, let's have a look at the script then, shall we? There we go. I want to concentrate today on round 4, question 4. It's page 126. Go from the top, please, Angus.
Ian, here is your question.
Is it that? Hang on, it's that bloke.
Are we going to be here all night?
Is it Jermaine Greer?
Yes, it is Ian. Yes, it is Ian.
Great. Take 5 there. Your first line, Angus. Ian, here's your question. I like the hesitation at the top. Very good. Very naturalistic. But when you come to Ian, I want more attack. Yeah? Ian, here's your question. It's Ian's question, not anyone else's question. Ian's.
Ian's question, right.
Can I chip in with a suggestion here?
Yeah, shoot, Ian. Feel free.
How about if Angus does a sort of half turn towards me and gets some real confrontation into it?
I like that. I like that, Ian. I like that a lot, yeah. Give that a try, Angus. What's the matter, Angus?
Well, I'm sorry, I just don't think it needs a turn. I mean, I'm already giving it confrontation in the read. I think a turn would be to overdo it. And quite frankly, I don't see why he should start telling me how to do my lines anyway. I mean, I don't start telling him how to do his lines, do I?
Well, you took advice from Paul the other day.
Yeah, but that was good advice, though.
Right, that's it. I don't have to take this. I've worked with Imogen Stubbs, you know. If any of you want me, I shall be in Bruges.
The easy bit over with, the action moves to the London Weekend Studios, home of the stars. Stars like GMTV weather girl Sally Mean, a ray of sunshine in the morning. Sports presenter Ian St John, as skillful on the box as he was in the box. GMTV's Penny Smith, who brightens up breakfast. And Michael Barrymore, for whom variety is apparently the spice of life. This is the glamour side of television.
You wanted in makeup, Mr. Martin?
Okay, thank you!
Tonight is a very special night. Have I Got News for You will, for the first time ever, be totally uncensored. But even in an unexpurgated video, there are some words that simply mustn't be used.
Wee-wee, piddle, nipples, farty.
Of course, it's not the winning that matters. It's the taking part.
Tonight's your night, Ian. Do him tonight. Turn the bastard over. I mean, what's he got? Nothing. Metal work O level. And what have you got? Grounded in the classics. Greek, Latin, ancient history. Tacitus, Livy, Virgil, Ovid, Plato. Kick his fucking head in!
Winkle, poo-poos, front bottom, semolina.
Semolina?
Penetrate, fallopian, renal.
As chairman, Angus Deaton gets the largest dressing room.
5 minutes, Mr. Deaton.
Okay, he'll be with you in a minute.
Rectum, postcoital, and simultaneous multiple orgasm.
What about fuck?
Oh yeah, you can say fuck. Got to sell it to the 13-year-olds after all.
Thank you very much indeed. And on behalf of the BBC, let me welcome you to London Weekend Television.
Mr. Wilson, hello.
Hi, how are you?
Fine. You've seen the show before, so you presumably know how it all works.
Oh, yes. I'm a huge fan.
Oh, good.
When do we get to meet Dale Winton, by the way?
Our first team captain is the man behind the Eye, a title previously bestowed only on Richard Ingrams and Cyclops. Please welcome Ian Hislop. And our other team captain is the inimitable, the indomitable, the indefatigable, the inflatable Paul Merton. Hello. With Ian tonight is ignore them. Is an actor who is best known for his appearances in One Foot in the Grave in his supporting role as my next door neighbour. Please welcome Richard Wilson. No, please, help yourself to any team captain you like the look of. In which case, with Paul tonight, will be our next guest, who is a comedian who can always be sure of finding work at the BBC because he once trained as an accountant. Please welcome Eddie Izzard. So, we just need to do a quick sound check and then we should be away.
All right. Bloke goes into a hospital, psychiatric ward, and he says, Doctor, I keep thinking I'm a pair of curtains. And the doctor says, I'm sorry, there aren't any beds.
A few words from me, yes. Hello. Shall I tell you a very old joke?
Please do.
I don't know any.
I could say I'm sitting next to one. Oh. Well, thank goodness we're not recording.
Thank goodness.
Oh, yes, we are.
I do hate it when unpleasantness starts. Please.
I think we have more hair on this side.
There is no need for that.
That keeps your head warm.
Yes, this is true. I keep mine short intentionally.
Of course.
It's a style statement.
What does it say?
You haven't got any hair.
Thank you very much.
It says sex.
Says sex.
It says sex.
Yeah.
Less hair is sex.
It does.
Well, it could do.
Yes, a few words. Joke. I don't do jokes. 2 men went to a bar. That's it. But 3 men never go into a bar. Actually, if 4 people go into a... 4 men go into a pub, there should be 2 jokes, shouldn't there?
There should be 2 jokes.
4 men go to... But there isn't. There's only 2 men. 1 man goes into a pub, nothing happens. Except they could talk to the barman, and then a joke should happen, really. But very rarely. You never see 1 man go to a bar and made do with the barman, and therefore there was funny things.
Wait till the bar.
Still a few words, you're saying.
No.
What? That was a few words.
Nothing.
That was a few words.
It's a subtle
Now the
hint.
lights have failed. It's like sitting in one of those electric fires with a coal effect.
hello and welcome to Have I Got Unbroadcastable News for You, and our apologies to anyone who's taken unbroadcastable to mean that the content is too risque or libellous for BBC television, when in fact it's simply technically unbroadcastable. I'm sorry about that. Tonight is a special show which we're recording exclusively for video and not for television, although how you're supposed to watch a video without a television is beyond me. Anyway, a quick roundup of the current news stories. In Bicester, the crash barriers go up as fans of the Duchess of York await her arrival. British Rail's freight division announces its new express service. And in Coventry, after a man defaulting on his council tax refuses to answer his door, the local authorities are accused of overreacting. With Ian tonight, a man who has said that if people are silly enough to think actors are the same in real life as the characters they play, then they're not really worth bothering about. Typical Victor Meldrew. Richard Wilson. And on Paul's team, an actor and comedian who has appeared on stage as the outrageously gay Prince Edward. That's the one who became King Edward II, by the way. Eddie Izzard. So, bugger me if it isn't round one, which it is, fortunately, so that saved me from a rather undignified start. As usual, it's our film round, 4 bits of footage to identify from some of the more major stories of the year. Paul and Eddie, what unsightly squabble was this?
There's John Major praying.
He's holding a press conference to find out who's nicked his office walls and roof. That's the autopsy of the alien, isn't it, from the Roswell incident?
You're saying how big the fish is? No, he's got 4 fingers.
Yeah. I'd have clapped. He's found his office again. Everything's all right.
There's the guy at the policeman at the front holding on to
And there's the man who won the leadership contest.
With 10 written.
So, did you include an answer in any of those?
Yes.
Right,
It's
what were they?
leadership. The Tory leadership campaign, John Major does a strategic, hey, I'm here, shoot at me, kind of thing. And everyone waited for a stalking horse to come, which is a small horse that goes through the bushes with guns. He said, all right, I will stalk, it says. And John Redwood came out as quite a big stalking horse because he was cabinet member. And he said, I'll take you on. And there was a big fight, and he was a Vulcan. But he was only a partial Vulcan because he had to strap his fingers together to do the Vulcan sign, which I can do, as I'm a Vulcan. And
Anyone can do the Vulcan sign.
you do it.
Go on then.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Can you do it on both hands? Can you do it on the third hand? You haven't got third.
Do you remember what Major's slogan was before?
Yeah.
Yeah, vote for me.
You do remember?
Vote for me.
Or I die.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, put up or shut up was actually.
All right, vote for me, you bastards.
It was back me or I stay.
It is John Redwood's failed attempt to topple the Prime Minister by mounting a leadership challenge last June. One of Redwood's schemes was to launch a new think tank with the aim of re-evaluating Conservative ministers' approach to single mothers. Well, they could stop getting them pregnant for a start. Prudish audience. No matter. On hearing the news of the Prime Minister's resignation, President Clinton released a statement which read, John Major is a great ally, although it was later revealed that W had gone missing somewhere in the text. Constitutional experts were debating a possible role for the monarchy in the leadership crisis, but a Buckingham Palace spokesman said the Queen's position regarding Mr Major remains unaffected. She still can't believe he's Prime Minister. Ian and Richard, a comedy of errors for you.
It's a man typing. Evening Standard, the clue being the words Evening Standard. That's a fax. That's a newspaper. Don't know what that is.
Good. So you read the words Evening Standard and identified a fax and a newspaper. Thank you.
Well, I did better than the Evening Standard did at the time. Now, this was a story of journalists printing complete gibberish, but by mistake, which is why it was news. The Tory papers had got sick of attacking Tories, so they decided they'd go for Tony Blair instead. And the Evening Standard thought, I know, we'll go to New Zealand and get Brian Gould. to write a piece saying Blair's no good. Because he's, you know, he didn't get the job and he's gone to be an academic in New Zealand, you know, which makes you bitter, I think. Professor of sheep. And in Through the Facts came this piece saying Blair is utterly hopeless. And no one at the Standard read it, and they just put it straight in, assuming it was by Brian Gould, and it wasn't. It was by Michael Howard, the Home Secretary's son, who's some 19-year-old student who'd sent a piece through saying why I hate the Labour Party because my dad's great. So this huge row blows up, and the Standard has to grovel. Absolutely grovel, eat dirt and...
God, you enjoyed it.
I know. I can't tell you how pleasurable it was.
Yes, it is the London Evening Standard's blunder last autumn in getting two faxes mixed up. One was an article by former Labour MP Brian Gould, and the other, which went under his name, was an article by the son of the Home Secretary, Nick Howard, a 17-year-old student. You'd have thought that they would have smelt a rat when the first sentence said, I was 3.5 during a winter of discontent, but to get round this, they simply subtitled it, Brian Gould imagines himself as a first-time voter. Lucky the facts didn't get mixed up with a piece by Gillian Tailforth. Brian Gould imagines himself as a Cockney soap star with a passion for oral sex. The editor of the Evening Standard, Stuart Stephen, blamed the mistake on an extraordinary series of mishaps and printed a front-page apology headlined Tube Strike in its 4th day. He also wrote a personal letter of apology, which he immediately faxed to Mr. Gould. That's Bobby Gould, the Welsh football team coach. An outraged Brian Gould complained, this is the most bizarre episode I've ever been involved in. Quite a statement coming from a man who seriously recommended hanging upside down on a climbing frame as a cure for baldness. Paul,
they're your lot, aren't they?
Who?
Blair's lot.
Blair's lot, yes, why?
Just interested. You doing any rallies?
Yes, I'm doing one this week. How did you know that?
It's amazing what I know. You did a rally for Kinnock, I gather.
I did. I helped Neil to battle to failure.
Was this the notorious Sheffield rally?
No, I didn't do that one. That was their big mistake.
Do you drive or do you navigate?
If they had used me in Sheffield, it would have been much more minimal.
Yes. Happy days.
Well, I'm glad we got that clear.
Yeah, well, sure.
Yeah, OK. We'll come back to
I
you
don't know why
later
you brought it up. That's all I am. Aren't you on my side? I mean, aren't we on each other's side?
Who told you that? No, of course we are, Richard.
No,
Showbiz pals.
So, you're not quite a lovey, though, are you, Ian?
It's the nicest thing anyone's ever said.
Paul and Eddie, at long last. Who's on their last legs here?
The VT operator? Oh, there we go.
Shame on Shell.
Greenpeace. That's just then.
Das ist high shame on Shell. And Greenpeace very happy there. John
And
Major.
there's John Major. Look, I found my office. Disneyland is hit by flood.
No, none of those things.
No, it is. It is Brent Spa, and it was. Shell said, "Hey, we'll put this in the water."
What was this that they're referring to?
The big thing, that yellow thing. Can you see?
Yes,
It's a big yellow thing. It's called Brent Spa. I don't know whether a spa is a thing. It's a big oil rig.
We call it oil rig,
big,
yes, that was
sticky,
the word
uppy
that I was-
thingy.
yellow
But it's not
thing,
like an oil rig that I know, because I know there were
did you
platform
know?
ones with the big things. Because my dad used to work on them. Well, he used to visit them. He did. He used to go out and go, "Hello, how are you?"
All right.
He did, and they gave him this
That's an
great big
interesting
orange
job.
Yeah,
Is it
it's
like
great.
prison visiting?
No, it's much more wet. And they took it out with about 100. Well, they took it out with a certain amount of barrels of dung and of nuclear dung. Well, sorry, oil.
Yeah.
Oil refuse. And they said, we're going to just dump it in the sea. No one knows. But Greenpeace knew, and they came in big boats. And they got on it, and they said, no, we're not going to do it. And they had a big campaign against Shell saying, don't do it. And everyone all around Europe stopped buying Shell stuff. And even one Shell petrol station was let fire to with the word set instead of let. And, but now Greenpeace have recently said, actually, we've miscalculated. It was because they thought it was 2,200 odd barrels of oil dung or something. And they said, no, it was less.
And they've apologised.
And so, yeah, they've apologised, and Shell have said, well, but then they said, actually, it wasn't as low as 100, but it's slightly more than that, and that's it in a nutshell.
Absolutely.
No, it is an enormous nutshell, but it's in one.
But I don't know where it is. I'd be interested to know where it is now.
Well,
it's sitting in this fjord.
Right, thank you. It is, yes, it's in Norway.
Why can't they just drink it?
Well, the platform.
No, the dung.
The oil.
Yeah, have a party.
Yeah.
Mix it with some orange juice. End of a party, nobody knows what they're drinking.
A tequila sludge. Good work.
Sounds like
Duckham surprise.
It is the fate of the Brent Spar oil rig and the government's embarrassment over a dramatic U-turn by Shell following protests by Greenpeace. For weeks, John Major and
What
Shell...
was that bit? Sorry, I missed that bit. Are we doing snake impressions? You say, well, it's a quiz, suddenly it's a wildlife documentary.
Yes, it...
He said for weeks for hula.
It's all went, oh, no, like that.
Well,
you're near it, you can hear it
it's
better.
Urdu.
The Norwegian fjord.
They're hoping to sell the video in Norway.
Yeah, it's true. No, it's not. It's bollocks. It's... for weeks, apparently, John Major and Shell were embroiled in a bitter row over the oil rig. Some experts felt that dumping in deep water was the only solution, but others pointed out that he'd just float to the surface again. Shell chairman Chris Fay said that the 30 tonnes of radioactive waste on board the rig were no more dangerous than if you took a walk down the main street of Aberdeen, which, if you time it to coincide with the pub's closing, is lethal, of course. Now that the rig is not going to be dumped at sea, various ideas have been put forward as to what to do with a structure that accommodates 90 people and contains 300 tonnes of used oil, although Kentucky Fried Chicken have already put in a bid. Ian and Richard?
There was people on the beach. So, this is simply because this program is about Unbroadcastable. I think it's fucking disgraceful. The hot summer, the ducks were topless, I noticed, by the way, as well. This is a pipe, a stand pipe. That's water being wasted by the water authorities. They lose more. Is it finished? Yes.
Yeah, just stopped like that.
This is stopped. Yes, it's finished.
No warning.
John Selman Gummer was seen to be digging for water there.
Yes.
Who's the Ministry of
Earth.
Earth. Of water. It was water.
Was
now
water.
Earth.
He's not the whole ministry.
He's not?
On his own, no. What were we showing John Gummer for? Was there any particular reason why?
Well, it's obvious.
Just to get a laugh, obviously.
It's obvious because he said, just a minute.
I know.
Just a minute. He said there was no problem. He went on, in fact, it was in front of one of those reservoirs with no water. He said, there's no problem. The country will have no problem. That's what he said.
He actually went worse than that, and he said... he said the water companies are doing a terrific job.
That's right.
And then a week later, he had to have an inquiry.
Yes, and then he said...
Yes.
Then he said,
it's all coming
we're
back.
going to make the water companies pay more money.
That was what I was going to say.
You lying sod.
I knew that. So pay for standpipes.
I'm telling you, I'm giving
water
bloody
companies said
answer.
they wouldn't pay for standpipes. And
Listen,
one of them
you've
said
been
we would
yakking
pay
on
for
for the last
standpipes.
3 minutes.
And then all the others said, no, we're not going to pay because it's your own fault.
But
you use the water,
see,
we
you
make
didn't let
it
me
there.
finish.
Well,
Yes.
there's also...
Hello.
Also, apart from paying more money to stop the leaks, so you should pay money back to customers for having, if they had to use standpipes in that area.
Yeah, it was really boring, that bit. I know.
They're all bastards. Fuck them. That's right. Well, they are.
That's the sort of level of debate we're looking
Yes, it is the controversy over the privatised water company's failure to provide a full service during the summer drought. Minister for the Environment John Gummer explained that the shortage of water was due to an exceptionally dry summer. Nothing gets past him, does it? As temperatures soared, TV weatherman Ian McCaskill could hardly contain himself. Records are tumbling right and left. This is sheer naked excitement for weathermen. What a hideous image it is, all the BBC weathermen being naked and excited at the same time. All of which hot gossip brings us dribbling to the end of this opening round, and the scores, as if anyone could give a flying fuck, are following. And so, having sullied ourselves in the world of politics, let's now purge our souls with some good, wholesome tabloid sleaze. Paul, one of the fleeting stories of this year you may have missed. 4 wheels and a blowjob.
Well, it's this is a new service that the Automobile Association is doing. It's Hugh Grant and all those jokes that everybody's done since about him paying the woman called Denise Brown to have sex up the boulevard.
Just in case Denise Brown is watching, it was Divine Brown.
I didn't realise you knew her personally. And that she was that good.
I think you might get to know Denise Brown quite quickly. Yes, can you remember anything that was said during the interchange?
Well, there's a lot of mumbling.
He actually is supposed to have said, "You're one beautiful black woman."
Well, he can count, yeah. One beautiful black woman walks into a pub. That's not, you're one beautiful black woman. Does he go around just naming things like that? You are one bus conductor.
That's real dirt, isn't it, that?
It's a standard line. Went home and said, "You're one very irritated Liz Hurley."
She recognised his accent from somewhere. Anyone remember?
Welsh.
No, she thought he sounded like Captain Peacock in Are You Being Served?
Frank Thornton.
Oh, seriously? Or is that a joke?
No. I don't think she was doing a gag at the time.
Are You Being Served in LA, do they?
Yeah, apparently.
Yes.
Yeah, it's big in LA. Yep.
Are you free, did he say as he leant out the car?
No, he said, "Can I see your pussy, Mrs. Slocum?"
Why would... But she'd be looking around for somebody called Mrs. Slocum then, wouldn't she? Doesn't mean me.
He was listening to some music at the time. Anyone remember? He had Michael Bolton on, apparently.
What, on the Walkman, and she just blew his job?
Who's Michael Bolton?
Michael Bolton's a man with a long, long rat on his head.
Yes, it is the celebrated case of Hugh Grant and LA hooker Divine Brown, who were arrested for committing a lewd act in a car on Sunset Boulevard. An eyewitness said that seconds after Hugh Grant picked up Divine and drove off, a black Ford saloon pulled out and followed. A woman was driving and there was a man in a passenger seat. They had Vice Squad written all over them. Bit of a giveaway, I'd have thought. According to Liz Hurley, Dad's initial reaction, like any good father, was that Hugh should have been horsewhipped. That would have been an extra $50, I would have thought. Asked for her own view, Liz Hurley said, "I don't think you should hit someone when they're down," presumably in case their teeth clamp together unexpectedly. Eddie, what on earth is this referring to? Believe this and you must be from another planet.
I haven't a clue. Well, the only thing I can think of is it's just something... The only thing that would work in my head that makes it... Oh, it's not that.
Is it that Roswell incident? I suddenly thought that alien,
the Boswell
the footage
incident.
of the Roswell incident.
Oh,
where
sorry.
The crash. There's meant to be a flying saucer crash in Mexico, and they had video of the alien autopsy. Is that what it's about?
Might be. Bugger, yes, it is. Do you remember exactly when it was that?
1947. Mexico.
It's correct.
It's actually Mexico.
Yeah. And it's actually 1907. But why it'd be Japanese, I've no idea.
Right.
Perhaps you could tell me. You seem to know a lot of these answers.
Interestingly, I haven't got.
Who won the cup final in
this
1948?
Wolverhampton Wanderers.
No, Manchester United.
Is it really?
And you're meant to be a Man United fan.
Yeah.
So what's that make you?
Wolverhampton Wanderers. Forgetful.
They beat Blackpool 4-2. You know
scored?
nothing. Who scored? Well, it was funny enough, an alien came down and nodded one in at the far post.
Yes, it is the Roswell incident when a UFO is alleged to have crashed in New Mexico just after the war. A film surfaced earlier this year which is claimed to show the body of a reclining alien. The story began when Loretta Proctor and her husband Floyd were shown fragments of a strange material found near Roswell in 1947. She says, every time we managed to bend it, it unfolded again. It would not burn or break, and even a sharp knife couldn't make an impression on its smooth surface. No one was sure what it was, but the first McDonald's hamburger did appear shortly afterwards. According to professors at Indiana University, people abducted by aliens go through 6 distinct stages. Capture.
6 what stages?
Distinct stages.
Yes, it's funny that's the one word I couldn't hear. Distinct.
Yes.
6 with the...
Yeah. Anyway,
what's this for people watching it on fast forward or something?
They go through 6 separate stages. Capture, space journey, conversation with aliens, medical examination, tour of the ship, and return home. Although some people have apparently experienced a 7th stage after the tour of the ship when they get to browse around the souvenir shop and buy a plastic snowstorm with a spacecraft in it. Richard, something of a single entendre for you. Carling breaks it off.
Ah, yes, this is about... Carling was giving rugby lessons to Princess Di at Kensington Palace. And... it was absolutely innocent. They used to clear all the furniture away, and he'd teach her scrum downs and things like that. And the papers put a new reading into it, so he had to break it off.
Do you remember who the source was of all the rumours? And
The source of the rumours was someone that Will Carling sacked. It was an employee, disgruntled employee, where a lot of these stories come from. And he said Carling was on the phone all day saying, hire Poopsie Squidgy Bot.
Is that rugby talk?
It is. And though it was totally innocent, Carling's wife got very, very angry. And she said things like, that woman picked the wrong couple this time. She's done it before, she'd better not try it again. Which obviously suggests the whole thing's totally innocent. It's the sort of thing wives say when their husbands have done nothing wrong.
So, well, she called a press conference, in fact.
She called her a press conference. Now, that is me.
Yeah. An ex-aide of Carling's claimed in the News of the World that Carling followed her around like a puppy. His wife began to suspect when she saw the roll of Andrex trailing out of the bathroom and down the street. The press have also been disinterring Carling's relationship with an old girlfriend, Victoria Taylor-Jackson. While on tour with England in New Zealand, he wrote to her saying, I came up with another rather erotic idea this morning, which I shall put into practice sometime on Monday. Must have come as a bit of a shock to the All Blacks fly half. Ian, put them together, and what have you got? Bibles, bikinis, and shimmering crosses.
This was a cult in the Church of England. A man called the Reverend Brain. No, that wasn't the organ he became famous for using. No, it was a huge scandal, because he was the first priest that wasn't a homosexual for years. He got all these women to... He came in and said, let me counsel you. I'll give you a really good counselling. Come round to my place for a really thorough counselling.
Do you remember any of the slogans that they had in order to attract the young people?
Take your clothes off.
Was it bend over the font for Jesus?
Eat God, actually, was one of the slogans that they had.
Anyway, it's been thrown out. You'll be glad to hear.
Yeah.
You've been thrown out of the
Thrown
CAV.
out of the CAV.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good, so it's safe. You can go back
But
to
the
Chester.
Archbishop of Canterbury doesn't want to stop young people having a good time, though. He said that this week.
Did he?
Yeah, you got that down there.
No.
Yeah, well, he
No,
did.
I haven't. I'll just
Yeah,
make a note
thanks.
of it.
We get a point for that.
Yep, I hope so.
Right.
Okay, it's yes, it is the case of the Reverend Christopher Brain and his 9 o'clock service, which caused a scandal when it was revealed to contain rave music, intimate sexual healing, and even consecrated Ribena being poured down a man's underpants in order to cleanse him of lustful thoughts. As stains go, that could be a pretty tricky one to explain. A code of conduct has now been issued for behaviour at meetings between the clergy and parishioners. The best posture to adopt is to sit face to face. If you end up sitting next to one another on a settee, it can be potentially dangerous, although not half as dangerous as being on all fours with the Bishop of Galway right behind you. Although that is, of course, the former Bishop of Galway, obviously, before the current Bishop of Galway's lawyers get in touch. Which unholy row brings us to our knees at the end of this round, and a quick glance at the scores reveals that both teams are equally lacking in any sense of fun, both Ian and Richard and Paul, and Eddie stubbornly clinging to 8.
Can I just ask, did we get a break during the recording?
Yes, that was it.
Oh, I see. Well, we're running out of water down here.
Are you? What a great
I just
shame.
wondered if there was a break, but there's not. Sorry, I didn't mean to break up the rhythm of the show.
It was so funny up to there, and now we've lost
the whole thing was...
Well, I just thought there might be a break.
Yeah.
I mean, normally...
What, half-time with oranges and things? I mean.
I've got no water at all now. Sorry.
Oh,
No.
right.
Yeah.
Will you let me know when you're ready, Richard? Because
Yes.
I wouldn't want to...
See, I'm an actor.
Right.
I'm not a sort of entertainer, so
No.
we have to look after the voice and things.
Right.
Take proper breaks.
Okay.
I won't be long.
Right.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, good, fine. Those who thought they'd seen the last of our What Happened Next round will be sorely disappointed, as it's now back, contrary to public demand. Two historic moments captured on film. Ian and Richard, what did this precede?
No, not yours. No, obviously not. You're going to vote for somebody else. So vote for somebody else. Obviously, you don't want to talk about what you're going to listen. You don't even want to listen.
Did he say up yours at first?
I think he said not yours.
Oh, not yours.
Yes.
Not yours.
Yes, he did.
It looks like a squabble at the Pony Club.
He's
got the rosette, she's furious.
He's a Conservative candidate, isn't he?
Oh, yes,
Isn't
I think
he?
you're probably right.
He looks like a real stupid git.
Whereas she looked like a sort of rather reasonable and moderate girl.
Probably a member of the Socialist Party.
Yes, could have been one of your lot.
She's making a point.
And very forcefully.
Well, obviously she must hit him.
Is that policy now?
It was then. This is an old clip.
It's a start.
I think he hits her.
No.
He hits her, she stumbles back, falls down a manhole cover and disappears. And she comes out of the sea near Luton.
She buries him in the North Sea.
Let's have a look at exactly what happened and then divide up the points.
You're going to vote for somebody else. So vote for somebody else. Obviously,
you don't
want to talk about what you're going to listen. You don't even want to listen.
You don't even want to listen. I want to listen.
You're listening.
All it is, it's an egg shampoo and it's aggressive hairdressing.
She hit him first.
She egged him, he hit her.
She hit him with an egg.
She egged him, but he did hit her.
She applied physical force to the egg hit him. He hit her back.
His body
I don't think he hit her, he missed.
He wouldn't have hit her if he hadn't been
He
egged.
missed.
It was an egg heckle.
I'm going to have to...
It is. They stick to
I am
you.
going to divide the points here because I think you both got one element of the story each.
Yes, we've broken the service.
It was big tennis fan, eh?
Is that one of our points?
It was one of our points they have got, thanks
Yes.
to Angus's blatant
Sounds like-
fixing of the score.
Angus didn't
not a
know.
problem.
Seems reasonable enough.
I just thought
Never
he
complained
must hit
before.
her.
And he did.
Yes, you said.
And it was very satisfying.
Getting nasty.
Just because I'm winning now.
I will...
You're not?
Well,
I will
be,
also
but
tell you
not
who he
yet.
was, which is David Martin. He was a Conservative MP for Portsmouth South, campaigning for re-election in 1992. The student involved there was complaining that she barely had enough for her next meal, which makes it all the more surprising that she threw it at him. Mr. Martin is described in the book Parliamentary Profiles as engaging, congenial and always ready with a witty quote, or if all else fails, a smack in the mouth. David Martin made headlines 2 years later when he resigned over the government's failure to privatise the Royal Mail. Norman Lamont backed him up, saying that the government has been held to ransom by a taxi full of flotsam and bobtail. Sounds like he's been down to Threshers again.
Sounds like you have too.
Paul and Eddie. Time now for the weather.
Let's go into the sunny weather. Right, in the north of England. You'll reach 21 Celsius, Penny, up to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. It's a really lovely sort of afternoon with hardly any clouds in the sky. Up in East Anglia.
this is The bloke who walks over the weather thing and gets everyone going, yay, whenever he gets to Northern Ireland, yay, whenever he gets back. For 5 years, people have gone there to go, yay. There must be some people who say, let's go there and go, yay, today. And that's
the chances are that he might one day miss. That's the tension.
Yeah.
That's the tension.
He has missed.
Has he?
He has. One day he went in, and then they went, yay! And it was big.
And of course, that fueled the whole thing furthermore.
For a week, everyone else, and then went back down and go, and then some people were slipping him money, you know, like the footballers, slipping him money to fall in, and be a lot of betting went on.
Well, there was a penny there.
Yeah. People came out the water.
Yeah, somebody comes out of the water.
Yeah.
Somebody naked, a streaker or something, runs across.
Or wearing frogmans, or frog persons.
Yeah, naked under the frogman suit.
Just frog stuff.
There's a shark.
Runs across.
Enormous great shark comes up behind him.
This is wishful thinking now.
No, someone comes out and says, and they that's right. And the crowd go,
It's a variation, you see.
Let's just see how much of that is true.
When East Anglia, again, it's not bad at all. You've got plenty of sunshine around, but a little bit more in the way of crowd and things like that. And we could have a little problem here. I'm going to cope with this. Right, quite unexpected. Over the southern part of the I'll say bye-bye. Do you want the clipboard?
Is Eric Cantona?
Oh, no.
And in the end, he gets dragged off by the rozzers.
But why is he covering his bits? I mean, you don't go take your clothes off, get out there, go on telly and say I'm naked, and then cover your bits.
I think he might have been forced to. I think that
might have been colder than he thought.
Have you got any idea?
His bits went westwards.
Have you any idea what programme that was?
Yeah, it was Richard and Judy.
Was the right answer. And who was the weatherman?
Fred Talbot.
Oh, that's sad.
That you don't know.
I think
that you do know.
Shows what Paul does during the day. Yes, it is. Well done. It is the rude interruption to Granada's This Morning show when cereals...
2 points for not having a life.
No, it's 2 points for knowing everything in the world.
Which, to my mind, is quite good in a quiz show.
But they didn't.
Having established that's what we're doing.
It is a useful attribute.
But they didn't get 2 points because they didn't know the answer.
We did. We said to come over the water.
You did see a nude man came out of the water.
I said that, yeah. Naked man came out
You
of the
must
water.
listen.
Yeah. I mean, I think they later qualified by saying that he was nude under his frogman's outfit. But
yes,
initially,
a frogman. That's what
I said naked man before.
Yeah, he said naked man.
Mark Roberts was his name. Spokesman said it was the first time an arse had been seen on the show since Max Clifford had been interviewed the previous week. 3 months earlier, after streaking at Anfield, Mr. Roberts was fined £200 by a judge for violent behaviour. Strange verdict, but then perhaps for a judge, a naked bottom is always associated with violent behaviour.
Why does he do it?
Mark Roberts?
Yeah.
We don't know. We haven't talked to him about it, unfortunately. Do you want me to ring him?
Yeah. If it was Noel's house party, you'd ring him now.
Yeah, you would. or you'd say, well, he's here tonight, and he'd just run across like that.
And you'd have a camera in his bedroom, and he'd be fully clothed.
We can't afford surprise guests on this show, unfortunately. And so ends this unique 2-minute commercial for an ITV programme, as does this round, which marks the halfway stage, and marks are as follows. Ian and Richard now have a less than groovy 9, whilst Paul and Eddie have a seriously sexy 11. Time now for our Odd One Out round. Those who have seen the programme before will know how it works, and those who've seen the video before will not only know how it works, but also who wins. Paul, your 4 women on top are Anna Ford, Carol Thatcher, Paula Miss Whiplash Strudwick, and Jermaine Greer.
Is that a passport photo? Who is this woman? Paula...
Miss Whiplash Strudwick.
Yes, her, Miss Whiplash. She's the only one who sort of publicises a strange middle name. Because Anna Ford has a sort of... Anna, do you want to buy a second-hand? Ford. She can't help it. She was baptised that way. Carol, I'm the sister of Mark Thatcher. the Miss Whiplash woman, and Jermaine, if I was a bad ventriloquist, I would pronounce bottle of beer, gottle of Greer. And that's her name. Could it be then that because Anna Ford had a glass of wine thrown over by Jonathan Aitken, so will that be somewhere in there, Jonathan Aitken?
Oi! You a victim of aggressive hair-doing? Aggressive, what was that word you used? What have you done to yourself, boy?
Oh, fuck me, a surprise guest.
I'm glad you got this round first.
Yeah, so am I. Well, we'd have been in trouble if the one on the left tried talking.
So, Jermaine, do you know the answer to this question?
What I haven't got in common with the other three is that I'm here. And they're
You
there.
can't argue with that.
Anna Ford's the odd one out.
Why?
Because all the others have been friends of Jonathan Aitken at some point and he threw a glass of wine over her.
Can I just ask Jermaine a question? Have you had Aitken?
I think
Because that gives me the answer.
What do you mean it gives you the answer? I've just said that.
You said we're friends with.
I think.
Right, romantically linked then.
Because Carol Thatcher did.
Yes.
Paula did. Though Jonathan Aitken didn't know at the time she was an S&M specialist who did it for money. Obviously, he didn't know.
Right.
Got that, lawyers? He didn't know. Not a clue.
And Jermaine?
Well, I can't remember with Jermaine and Anna. Have you?
How could you remember if you don't know?
Good point.
You can't remember what you don't know.
No wonder you're a professor of logic.
You're going to go on not knowing it.
It's a very good idea.
So you're not going to help
having
me?
guests answer back.
Not on that one.
After all the
I'm afraid.
unpleasant things I've printed about you. Well, there's gratitude.
I'm not sure whether it would be unpleasant to say that one had Jonathan Aitken. Would it be unpleasant? I don't know. It'd be uncalled for.
Yeah, cut the hypotheticals, have you?
I don't have to answer.
No, it's
Do
quite
you
right.
go out wearing a
Reach
pair
me
of
with
fuck
your
me
harping
Jonathan
iron.
shoes?
I'm wearing my fuck you shoes. That's what you've done.
It's just as well there's a wall between them, really, isn't it?
If Jermaine doesn't answer this question, does this programme go on forever?
Yes, I'll tell you. The answer is that they have all been romantically linked, as I think Paul so eruditely put it, with Jonathan Aitken, except for Anna Ford, who despised him so much when he was in charge of TVAM that she threw a glass of wine over him. Anna Ford and Jonathan Aitken fell out over a regime which involved presenters being asked to wear shorter skirts on the breakfast programme. Well, it always worked for Frank Boff. Paula Strudwick was a prostitute who had an affair with Aitken shortly after he married. At the time, Aitken claims he had no idea about his company's arms sales to Iraq because although he attended the board meetings when they were discussed, he always left early. Well, at least we now know why. Back to the days, Aitken had a fling with Jermaine Greer, who, despite being aware of his right-wing views, couldn't resist him in his dark grey suit, his Eton tie and his brown fuck-me hush puppies.
What is all this nonsense? I don't go to bed with men in dark grey suits. What an idea.
Well,
They take them off first, do they?
Well, I hope so, yes.
You can sue. You know, don't worry.
Where is this story coming from? Here am I, sitting minding my own business, and all of a sudden I've become an ex-girlfriend of Jonathan Aitken.
Hold on, this is Noel's
So you were a
house
current
party.
one before?
I was just talking about secret cameras in people's houses.
Yeah.
And do something about Paul's hair. I know, Paul's a Frenchman. Paul Merton. That explains everything. He's French. You can't have anything to do with it.
Paul has just let his hair go into a laissez-faire attitude, which is a French attitude.
Absolutely.
Well, it's a French word.
Jermaine, don't go away. We may come back to you.
At least you can insult his hair on this side of the thing, because on the other side there is no hair to insult.
The next question, Eddie, is your four institutions are the Queen.
Oh, to be careful what you say, she'll come round.
The Queen, Eton College, the Royal Opera House, and Oakfield Operatic Society.
Now, don't tell me the Royal Opera House is online, hidden behind those. Oh, I'm a building. Well, I think the link on this is lottery. Is lottery cash?
In what way?
Well, who knows? The Queen, she's doing her little pointing, oh, there's you. So she's counting all the pound coins. She was given money just for the hell of it.
Because it had her face on it.
Eton College was given money to make sure that they could...
get new light bulbs.
Yeah. The Royal College of the opera thing had money given to it for some reason. And something to do about this football team changed their name to an opera thing in order to get some cash. So the odd one out is one of them.
Is perfectly accurate, but...
and I think it's the Operatic Society, because they didn't get any money.
I think it's the Queen.
It's a brave guess, and actually completely wrong. Because Eddie
She's
was
just done a
right
scratch
all along.
card. Look at her finger.
The odd one out is Oakfield Operatic Society, because unlike the others, they don't stand to receive any money from National Lottery handouts. Oakfield Operatic Society is in fact a football club, but they changed their name in order to persuade the National Lottery to give them a grant. Suspicions were first roused when the chorus from Aida started singing "You're going to get your fucking head kicked in." The Queen has applied for lottery money because she wants to clean up the Tower of London. She doesn't actually play the lottery herself, of course, because she's read that winning it can lead to the breakup of your family.
Can I just say that the thing the Queen was wearing, that big wrap-over thing, has gone out of fashion.
Do you think someone ought to mention it to him?
I think someone ought to go up there and say, take it off. Cut your hair short and put some Doc Martens on and you're off.
Richard, your bunch of comedians are Bob Monkhouse, John Burt, Marmaduke Hussey, and The Weekend Show.
Ah, yes, The Weekend Show, Dale Winton. Now, I heard a rumour, Angus, that Dale Winton was after your job. Is that true?
After this job?
Yeah.
Or being next door
He
neighbour
said
in
you could
One
do
Foot
it
in the Grave?
cheaper and funnier. Is that...
Well, there's no argument with either of those.
I think he's taking over in One Foot in the Grave, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
As
your
wife.
part?
No. Annette Crosby's.
Yes. Didn't they take that show off?
The Weekend Show?
Yeah.
Yes, it's no longer on, sadly.
So it's a bit of a guess. I think it's to do with contracts. They've lost their show, but they're all still doing their biz.
It is very much a guess, isn't it?
And John Burt's the only one who's just sucked a lemon.
Yes. What word do you think he is saying there? I shoot the sheriff. I did not shoot the dead.
Has it got something to do with... Because Bob Monkhouse had all his jokes stolen, and I remember that somebody stole John Burt's sink or lavatory seat or something.
Yes.
Oh, well,
the odd one out, therefore.
The whatever that's called, The Weekend Show is the odd one out.
Is the right answer. Yes, the answer is that all of them have had something stolen from the BBC, with the exception of The Weekend Show, which sadly no one has stolen from the BBC. Marmaduke Hussey, chairman of the BBC, was amazed when his secretary told him that his video had been stolen from his office. He'd always assumed it was a tease made. Bob Monkhouse had a notebook containing his finest jokes stolen from the BBC, and John Burt had a £200 mahogany toilet seat stolen. Police say they have nothing to go on. Thanks, Bob. Ian, your mixed bag contains Saddam Hussein, Nottingham Forest midfielder Lars Bohinen, the island of Tahiti, and Jermaine Greer.
Hi, Jermaine.
Hi.
You had Tahiti?
I haven't had any of the things on the screen with me, I'm afraid.
Can I just say your hair's looking gorgeous?
Looks like Paul's, doesn't it?
I can't make it look like Paul's. It's got too much goo in it. Paul's is clean. That's the thing about Paul's.
Not from where I'm sitting, but there it is. Ian, I'm going to have to press you for an answer.
Well, at a guess, then, Tahiti is the only non-human being.
It's an inspired guess, Ian. Well done.
Because we're all annoyed with the French.
Oh.
Oh, can the
in what
person
way?
in the game win the game?
Well, it would be a first, I have to say. In what way, Jermaine?
Tahiti for the nuclear doodah.
Yeah.
I can't think what... Perhaps Lars Bohinen isn't annoyed with the French. I'm quite cross with the French.
What are you cross with the French for?
I'm cross with the French because for the same reason the Tahitians are.
Right, so that's 2. Good.
Saddam wanted to let off a device, but no one would let him. 3.
Yes, clutching at straws here, aren't you? It's,
Why would Lars be cross with the French?
Oh, has he been
No
picked
reason
for
why he should
Tahiti?
know that. I think we're getting further and further from the answer. You were almost there, so I think I'm actually going to award the points to Jermaine, in fact, because the answer is that they've all protested against French nuclear tests in the Pacific, except for Saddam Hussein, who's been far too busy working on his own. That's according to his son-in-law, who recently defected to the West out of fear of Saddam's 2 sons, Uday and Qusay. According to The Observer, Uday has beaten a servant to death, murdered an army officer whose wife he wanted to sleep with, and shot dead his own cousin because he wanted his sports car. His brother Qusay, on the other hand, is described by the paper as the ruthless one of the 2. The people of Tahiti launched violent protests against the French nuclear test near their island, which was so powerful it apparently moved the continent of Australia 3/millionths of a millimetre to the right. British Airways immediately responded by putting up their fares. Nottingham Forest's Lars Bohinen refused to play for his native Norway against France because of their indefensible use of weapons of mass destruction, although it was later discovered that he was referring to Eric Cantona. For her protest, Germaine Greer vowed to give up French wine, a move which provoked nothing but indifference from the French wine industry, followed by widespread panic when they found that she was talking Princess Margaret into doing the same thing. That's of course not true, is it, Germaine? What else have you given up?
I've had to give up all sorts of things. And perfume
that's
and
water,
crockery and
The letter O.
underwear, soutien-gorges and things of that sort. It's
You wear
been a terrible
soutien-gorges?
business.
And sooty and sweep I'm aware of.
What is soutien-gorges?
As a bra, my dear.
Oh, really? I don't wear them.
The English have yet to discover there are 2 of them. The English make them cross-eyed, make them look miserable.
Make your breasts look cross-eyed.
Yes. You know what that feels like. Come on.
I'd try, but I've never quite got that.
One day.
Well, girl talk, eh?
Yes, exactly. Jermaine, don't go away. We might come back to you. Who knows? Which
turned into Nolan.
I know. Which
Don't go away.
which random fallout signals the end of this 4th round, and the state of play is that Ian and Richard have a fundamentally flawed 14, whilst Paul and Eddie boast a near perfect 17. Well, this programme has never been one to poo-poo other quiz shows, and if other programmes come up with new and original ideas, then we're only too happy to steal them. And so it is, with this traditional sense of fair plagiarism very much in mind, that we present our own version of Mastermind, featuring the same rules, the same format, and the same spotlight. And our first contestant is Mr. Ian David Hislop, who is a magazine salesman from Clapham. And your specialist subject is...
The life and fibs of Jeffrey Archer.
Your questions on the life and fibs of Jeffrey Archer start now. What is an archer and where does the term originate?
£2,000. It came from a brown envelope full of money he gave to a prostitute he'd never met before to try and get her to go abroad.
Correct. To whom did Archer say it was really like a breath of spring to meet you?
The late Robert Maxwell. Takes one to know one.
Correct. After awarding Kathleen Burnett first prize in a short story competition, what did Archer do?
Steal the story and pretend it was his own in a next collection.
Almost right. He included her storyline in his own collection, A Twist in the Tale. What false claim did Archer make about winning the Louth by-election?
He said he was the youngest MP ever in the House of Commons, which he wasn't. He was the 4th.
He was, in fact, the 4th youngest, correct. By walking out onto a bridge in Toronto, what trouble did Archer walk into?
He took 3 suits from the shop with him.
He was arrested on suspicion of shoplifting, yes. Which post, which never existed, did Archer claim his father had held?
He said his father was a colonel in the Somerset Light Infantry who'd won a Distinguished Conduct Medal, which he hadn't. And he said his father was also consul of Singapore, which he wasn't.
Whereas his father, in fact, was a caterer in Brighton and a bigamist. What was special about the £57 million Archer claimed to have raised for Kurdistan through his Simple Truth concert?
We didn't raise 57, he raised about 7, I think.
Correct. On his visit to Kurdistan, how did Archer greet the assembled crowd?
He tried to do a bit of Kurdish and he said, "Bastard Kurdistan."
Is correct. Before buying what did Archer famously not talk to his wife?
Anglia shares,
correct.
Just as the company was about to be taken over.
During an athletics race at Oxford in October 1963, what achievement propelled Archer into the national press?
He was hit by a discus. Amusingly.
And stretchered off whilst competitors cheered. How precisely did Monica Coughlan... I've finished, so I'll start with the next contestant, who is a Mr. Paul James Merton, a former civil servant from Tooting. Your specialist subject, Mr. Merton, is?
The absurd revelations in the tabloid press between 1990 and 1995.
Your questions on the absurd revelations in the tabloid press between 1990 and 1995 start now. What was fired at an Airbus A340 at 500 miles an hour to test its durability?
Frozen chicken.
Is correct. Who repeatedly dialed police in West Virginia?
East Virginia.
A tomato plant is the right answer. How did the Irish Territorial Army in County Wicklow compensate for having no bullets?
Shouting bang.
They shouted bang when they fired. The Amazonian blue-fronted parrot killed in Oxford by an irate Mark Leach had annoyed him by repeatedly saying what?
Mark Leach, his name, Mark Leach.
Is correct. Yeah. What did coach Randy Brown offer his American football team as an incentive to play better?
His wife.
Sex with his wife. What was Don Snellgrove of the US Air Force doing that caused him to crash his £12 million plane over Iraq?
He was having a shit into a teapot.
I can't give you that. He was trying to piss into a sponge. His
dessert.
What crime did Colin Saad commit?
He was trying to have a shit into a teapot. I know, he stole people's cars and cleaned them and brought them back and then disappeared.
He stole people's cars, washed them, polished them and returned them to their owners. John Bloor superglued his buttocks together because he mistook the glue for what?
Nesquik.
His hemorrhoid cream. What was odd about the gorilla that a group of Mexicans attempted to smuggle out of Miami?
It was a gorilla in a man's suit disguised as a gorilla. It was a man in a gorilla suit.
It was an undercover government agent in a gorilla suit. What piece of music does a musical condom play when it splits?
I used to love you, but it's all over now. Yes, sir, that's my baby.
Beethoven's
I've started, so I'll finish.
Is the right answer. Why were Paul Osborne's racing pigeons so successful?
They had bikes.
He fed them on cannabis, is the right answer.
But they had bikes as well.
Did they? Yes. And that concludes our brave, if ultimately misguided, attempt at our mastermind round, which brings the present score to undreamed of heights, because Paul and Eddie are now at a dizzy 23, whilst Ian and Richard are virtually suffering from vertigo with 24.
Can I just say that the guy in the gorilla suit, that I wanted to hear the rest of that story, would say, all right, guys, you know, these people, we have the gorilla, we will sell him for many money. All right, now hold on a second. I'm FBI.
Oh, a talking gorilla, worth even more.
I'm an FBI gorilla, I won't take any of that.
That's what I'll look it up and I'll let you know.
Thank you.
And so we return to the more familiar bosom of our final missing words round, which, for those of you new to the English language, is a round in which some of the words are missing. Our guest publication for this show, from which one or two headlines may or may not be taken, is that august organ, the Teddy Bear Times, the magazine for you and your bear. Paul and Eddie are in most need of the points, so go first with Blair hit by what?
Gould, what's his name?
It depends who you mean, really.
Hattersley,
Egg.
I beg your pardon?
Egg.
Oh, right,
Colin Pose.
I thought you just panicked and said egg.
No, I just said egg without the panic.
Gould's Fury is right, so I'll give you one for Gould. Next, bald heads fail to what, say psychologists?
Receive Radio 2.
Failed to grow hair.
It's far too
accurate.
much about baldness in this program.
Yes,
Ever since I've come into this studio, there's been jokes about baldness.
Is it bald heads fail to see the humour in not having any hair? Say psychologists.
Ian did shout shine several times, so shine in life is correct, so I'll give you 1 for that. Next, what by name, what by nature?
Is it Jeff by name and Jeff by nature?
Yeah. It's got to be a teddy bear one. We haven't had a teddy bear
Ranulph Twistleton Fines by name.
No.
Teddy bear, some teddy bear.
Eddie by name, Teddy by nature.
Go for the other word. Teddy, yes, Teddy by name, Teddy by nature is correct. Next, Camilla enjoys what with Charles?
Baywatch.
A meal.
Enjoys the letter C at the beginning of her name. With Charles.
With Charles, who also enjoys
romantic evenings.
Secret
Take
dinner.
That concert.
Take that is not correct. Secret
said
dinner,
that.
a romantic evening. I'll take 1 for that. And finally,
I said a meal.
You did say a meal.
I did.
yeah, well, you got 1.
A meal, romantic
well done.
evenings, same thing.
And finally,
Lulu.
what is found in the Bee Gees wardrobe?
Lulu.
I think clothes.
Wrong Bee Gee, unfortunately.
Clothes of Bee Gees.
Yes.
Then if that should be R found in Bee Gees.
Is it
Sniper.
Barrymore?
It's
Sniper.
Is it hanger? Hanger is found.
Crazed gunman.
Big gold medallion.
probably
Is it
accurate.
Narnia?
I'll give you 1 for crazed gunman. Stalker is in fact the
John
answer.
Stalker, the one who does the rollerblades. You've got in the wardrobes now.
It was not the former deputy police chief. It was Marilyn Holmes was her name. Very good. Right, Ian and Richard are next up with only a matter of points in it. So, Mella expected to what?
Implode.
Fuck monkey on roundabout.
Quite
Allegedly.
what I've got on the card.
Go off with some other blonde.
Explode.
Go off with some other blonde, I suppose, is faintly close.
Get married.
Marry again is right. Yes,
That's
2
exactly.
points. Yes.
So when there's 1 long blank, it can be 2 words.
Oh, yes.
And when there's 2 blanks, is that 4 words?
And he's
What?
not expecting.
Next, what, alive and well?
Jeff.
Teddy bear.
A lot of people.
Yes, statistically accurate, but not the answer. I'll give you 1.
Sugar.
Teddy bear, not Sugar. Paddington bear. Next, pull out what or else, says Portillo.
Barrymore.
Fortunately not.
Colour supplement.
Pull out centre section.
Guns.
No. Pull out big guns.
Big
yes,
guns.
is the right answer.
Well done.
Next,
a story
what
about
gets
Boston.
right up Bill Wyman's nose?
QE2.
Fish.
Coke.
Certainly not. No.
Certainly not.
I should
Why
say.
not?
I should say not.
A lot of people.
Because it's not the answer.
The whole of Mandy Smith. Getting right up there.
Villages. It's something like that. He doesn't like the rural life, does he?
Country
That's the
life.
smell.
And finally, what no hinatu?
Oh, I know. It's Dao Huo.
Yeah. That's right.
What does
That's
it
the
mean,
difference.
Eddie? What does da ho mean?
It means I hope it gets a laugh.
Is it how to put together a rally bicycle instruction booklet?
Because the last bit looks like a ski lift, doesn't it? That last
How to put a ski lift together at home.
a ski lift and a shower on top.
And a large balloon with a sort of pointy stick.
The second bit is man playing golf, no slash down with trio. And the first one's just a yoga position for people on the advanced course.
I think we've got a whole new game here. The answer is in fact Poussin as what?
What? Well, it's not Dao Huo, is it? It's Busan.
The second bit mean is alive and well.
No, it means the secret of.
Did they start that sentence very simply and just get more complicated as time went on?
At the beginning, he was just trying to see if the pen worked properly.
It's edge of basin minus 5 go over. Yoga position, hockey sticks with man in forest goes up ski lift.
I am going to tell you. Pooh-san is in fact the answer because it's, as Winnie the Pooh is known in Japan to all readers of the Japanese edition of the Teddy Bear Times. And that's it. Which flurry of flying fur brings us to the end of this brief round and indeed anything but brief contest. And our final look at the final scores reveals that tonight's useless gits are Paul and Eddie with 26, whereas tonight's smug bastards are Ian and Richard with 29. People will buy this video just to see Ian win. On which unlikely note, we say thank you to our panellists, Ian Hislop and Richard Wilson, Paul Merton and Eddie Izzard. And I leave you with news that there are fears amongst Labour Party activists that Tony Blair is swinging the party too far to the right. There's a surprise for Val Dunican fans when he adds Sellafield to the list of his tour dates. The Prince of Wales shows his concern for Diana's latest humiliation over Will Carling. And at Glastonbury, there's an entertaining moment just before a New Age traveller has the shit kicked out of him. Goodbye.
It's him again.
Just a couple of things to do. Ladies and gentlemen, just a couple of things to do again. Very briefly.
The first
Beginning,
one is
the middle,
show.
and the end.
Marvellous.
Great.
Right. Well, this was one of the more hysterical moments of the show.
I got a nude teddy bear on page 3.
Well, bugger me.
I don't know what I was thinking of. Going home, probably.
Yeah.
Well, bugger me if he isn't round one, which it is.
Should I mention that Edward II was died with a red hot poker up his backside, which precludes this joke, by the way. Just in case.
No, it's,
Is that the flower, the red hot poker?
The flower?
Yeah. It's a flower called red hot poker.
you never get that up your ass, will you?
Well, I don't know. I'm willing to take on sponsorship.
Sorry, we digress.
Well, bugger me. Well, bugger me if he isn't round one. Which it is.
With a red hot poker.
I think the whole audience should just shout, "Bugger me." We could all do it in unison.
I think they will do eventually. Well, bugger me if it isn't round one, which it is, fortunately, so that saved me from a rather undignified start. As usual, it's our film round, 4 bits of footage to identify from some of the major news stories of the year. It got a much bigger laugh than it did earlier. We could be here for some time. I should warn them up there. Right. Another hysterical moment. Good. David Martin made headlines 2 years later when he resigned over the government's failure to privatise the Royal Mail. Norman Lamont backed up Mr Martin's stance, saying that the government has been held to ransom by a taxi full of flotsam and bobtail. Sounds like he's been down to Threshers again.
Well, bugger me.
What they were wrong about, they didn't lose their plagiarism.
This programme has never been one to poo-poo other quiz shows, and if other programmes come up with new and original ideas, then we're only too happy to steal them. And so it is with this traditional sense of fair plagiarism very much in mind that we present our own version of Mastermind, featuring the same rules, the same format and the same spotlight.
£2,000.
Is the wrong answer.